A netizen shared that the price of green onions has increased to 7.98 yuan in Hangzhou. A netizen replied, in Sichuan, the price is 9 to 10 yuan. A netizen from Henan replied, I purchased 4 green onions yesterday and spent 6 yuan. A netizen replied, yesterday I purchased 2 green onions and the price was 7.5 yuan. A netizen replied, the Chinese government is clearly the one that is controlling the market behind the scenes. A netizen shared this video clip showing the difficult life that people living at the bottom tier of society, especially people who are disabled, are leading. A netizen replied and wondered, hasn't he received a notification saying that poverty has been alleviated across the country and that all the Chinese people under the CCP's leadership are living in a prosperous society? A netizen shared this video clip, although some people say that it is staged, but it still does reflect the current state of society in China. A netizen replied, it is clearly staged because this can never happen in real life. A netizen replied, on our way to Atlanta in Georgia, we got a flat tire, but we didn't have money to use the tire inflator. A homeless person gave us 5 coins and wished us Merry Christmas. We were very moved. A netizen said, in order to accelerate the democratization of China, the Chinese people must be clearly distinguished from the Chinese Communist Party. The Chinese Communist Party is the opponent of democracy. A netizen replied, back when I was still a 4th grader in elementary school, I already knew that the Chinese Communist Party is the opponent of our country. It is the opponent of the Chinese people and the entire Chinese nation, as well as the opponent of all of humanity. Ever since then, I've decided to devote my life to stand up against the CCP until our country has won this battle between good and evil. A netizen shared that ever since 1949, when the CCP took power, over 80 million unnatural deaths have occurred in the hands of the CCP. From 1949 to 1955, the so-called land reform movement caused the deaths of 5 million people. From 1959 to 1961, in the Great Leap Forward, over 43 million people died. From 1966 to 1976, over 8 million people died during the Cultural Revolution. From 2000 up till today, in its persecution of Falun Gong, over 2 million people Falun Gong practitioners have suffered from the CCP's organ harvesting crimes. A netizen shared that, my mother-in-law's mother once accidentally broke the statue of Mao. She was afraid that her family members would be implicated, so she decided to commit suicide. A netizen replied, many people have not experienced the Cultural Revolution, including many Westerners. However, some of them are doing things that are similar to what the right guards were doing back during that time. For example, they reported their own family members and friends who hold different views. They support and even encourage them to be punished. They support them to be censored just because they support Trump. A netizen shared this video clip. This girl was once a Democratic Party supporter, but she decided to walk away and support Trump.
Democratic Party 3 months ago.
A netizen shared this video clip, which is part of a speech that Secretary Pompeo gave recently at Voice of America.
The first nation founded on the central belief that all human beings are endowed with certain unalienable rights, and the governments are instituted to secure those God-given rights. We have always striven for a more perfect union. And goodness knows we don't always get it right. Therefore, we need both pride and humility about our past and our present. We need the truth. But it's very clear that when Americans have united around our founding values, be it in Philadelphia, at Gettysburg, at Seneca Falls, or during Martin Luther King's March on Washington, we've made good on our founding promise time and time again. Now, our adversaries try and claim otherwise. When the Chinese Communist Party attempted to exploit the tragic death of George Floyd to claim their authoritarian system was somehow superior to ours, I issued a statement which read in part, quote, "During the best of times, the People's Republic of China ruthlessly imposes communism. But amid the most difficult challenge, the United States secures freedom. There is no moral equivalence. This is a self-evident truth."
A netizen shared this video clip featuring a speech from a solid Trump supporter who is also the father of Hollywood actress Angelina Jolie.
My America, your America. We shall not let America sink to these fools who are Democrats and now some Republicans who have jumped to the trails of unrighteousness. America, land of the free, will not stand for freedom if we allow these dark clouds of destruction. We must tear down the walls of Jericho. We must not allow our fears to follow the path of evil. We all must rise now. For God now has heard our cries. How this election was false, we all know. But is anyone standing up for the truths? Is anyone? My fellow Americans, President Donald Trump has been the only president to take such abuse from the left and now the right since the Civil War. And I've spoken of this before. Our forefathers battled for truths, peace, and honor. And Abraham Lincoln stood his ground for harmony and won. Our President of the United States of America, President Donald J. Trump, has been a true hero in his love for this country and the American people. This is a war that is about to open up now between truths versus lies. Can justice prevail? Can truths prevail? Well, my friends of every religion, race, color, this is not a race. This is about God. This now is about safety, our trust, our given truths. In God, we trust.
Child, we will take you in. Child,